So what's so crazy about all these numbers? Well, that's what we're going to find out. Hey, you know what? On this show, I go over the weekly stats here for everything in Northeast Florida here, the Jacksonville metro area. That's right. I look at all these counties up in this area, but I'm going to do something a little different tonight. I'm going to start off the show with looking at, wait for the song. I'm actually on location of a new construction site, so you're going to hear these noises in the background. But I'm going to look at a Florida Realtors chart, which is a monthly chart, and the latest stats from the end of last month. So let's take a look at that and see what those crazy numbers are. All right, here is the chart we want to look at from Florida Realtors. Now over here on the left, you see where they break it down. They're looking at 5 counties, but I really think we've got more than that that I shoot for here. So what I do is I go ahead and I'm looking at Bradford, Union, Putnam, and Flagler counties, okay, which I throw in the mix for my weekly numbers. But let's look here. This is their monthly stats, and this is what I'm telling you what's crazy numbers. All right, as we look here, we see at the top, okay, closed sales, okay, you see in the column there 2003, then 2023, then 2024. Okay, now down 4.6%. So sales are definitely down, okay, and we've seen this, okay. The median price, look at that, it's gone up 6.2% from 385 last year to 4089, which is basically almost 409. And then your average sale price too has jumped. The time on the market to sell, look at this right here. I mean, up 20%. It's taken longer to sell. Active inventory, okay, right here, up 26.8%. Holy cow. So all these numbers, and even your month supply has jumped up, okay, by 30%. Everything's up, all these numbers are like this. And it just doesn't make sense. We're looking and we see all these, you know, numbers going in the other direction, but then the home price goes up. So you see, if you're a buyer, what in the world do you get a break? First of all, interest rates going up. We're going to get to that here shortly. Okay, you see the sales are down, inventory's up. You're saying, this is perfect. I can just walk in here, everything's coming down, but the prices keep going up. It's frustrating. I get it. I'm going to go take you into the back end of my MLS here tonight because that's what this show's all about. Hey, I'm just a regular guy who happens to be a real estate agent up here in Northeast Florida, and I take you into my MLS account every week, and we look at those numbers weekly. That gives us a best indication of what's going on and try to see if there's a trend or try to catch that bubble when it's about to burst, because this show here is Bubble Watch, and I'm in season 3, and this is week 25 of the show. All right, so right now, let's go into the MLS. Well, what we're going to look at, I want to tell you what we're going to find. We're going to look at those active listings, which is your inventory. We're going to look and see how many sold in the last 7 days. I'm going to look and see how many are total under contract, how many are under contract currently, how many went pending in the last 7 days. Check out that new home inventory, how many new homes sold, those interest rates, and a whole lot more. I got a lot to cover here tonight, so fasten up. Right now, let's start off in the MLS and start off with those active listings. That is your inventory. All right, here we are in the back end of the Northeast Florida MLS, and what we're going to do, as I go through these different statuses, then we'll see the results. So I want you to focus on this part right here where it says view results, because as I change those statuses, we'll see it. So the first status we're going to look at is active listings. That number is 9,828. Okay, next we're going to take a look, and now that is our inventory, okay, for everything. Now next we're going to look and see how many sold in the last 7 days. That number is 577. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many are active under contract. That number is 1,123. Okay, these are under contract with contingencies. Those contingencies could be like inspections, appraisals, got to sell another house, you know, getting loan approval, things like that. But they have a contingency. Once that contingency is cleared, then they go into pending status. So how many went pending in the last 7 days? That number is 302. And when you add up the pending and the active under contract, that gives you your total under contract. Next, we're going to see how many people withdrew their listings in the last 7 days. That number is 68. Now, these are listings that are still active, okay? Active listings, they just cannot be shown. You cannot see the house. The sellers have blocked it out for a variety of reasons. Could be making some repairs. Somebody could be sick. Somebody working at home can't have somebody going through the house at a certain day or whatever, but they do withdraw it. Next, we're going to see how many expired in the last 7 days. That number is 147, and this is different than withdrawals because they did not sell, and so they are off the market. Okay, next we're going to take a look and see how many new homes sold in the last 7 days. That number is 181. And then next we're going to take a look and see how many new homes are active inventory. So that would be our inventory. That number is 2,326. Okay, the next thing I do is I take a look at what in the active inventory, what is in foreclosure status. That number is 146. Next I see how many are in pre-foreclosure status. That number is 12, and then I look at how many are in short sale status. That number is 38. All right, I take all that data now and I I export it, and it looks like this, an Excel spreadsheet like this, which is a big mess. There's a lot more data in there than what we just saw, okay? I take it and I convert it into my own Excel spreadsheet, which is a little simpler to look at like this, and we can track it week by week and also year by year over year. So it's a great setup. But while all those numbers are crunching and we're putting everything into my Excel spreadsheet, let's take a look and see what those rates did this last week. All right, we're going to go ahead and check out the rates here at Mortgage News Daily and see. And what we do is we start off down here in this area. This is where we left off last week. The arrows over here show the up and down amounts, and this last column here shows what the rates were a year ago at this time. So as we see, last week we left off at 6.91 as we were, climbing to 7. Well, we hit 7 during the week, and we're into the 7s now, so we ended up at 7.09 for the conventional 30-year. Okay, FHA rates are generally a little bit less. Last week we ended up at 6.38. We see we've got an increase also, went up to 6.61. So looks like it's shooting for that 7. And when we look at the VA, which follows along the lines pretty much of the FHA, we were at 6.4 last week, and we ended up at 6.62 for this week. Holy crap, hitting 7%. Wasn't everyone just told how the Fed was lowering rates? But mortgage rates have been going down before the Fed did, but now things jumped up, okay? The election has people in jitters and stuff like that, and it affects the stock market and everything else, and including the mortgage rates that we're gonna see. All right, so what if you were that buyer that was saying, well, I'm gonna try to time all this out? That's why I'm saying timing the market doesn't always work, okay? Because you're saying like, well, I'm just waiting until the rates come down. But now they went up, so what are you going to do? And that's why I'm giving you all this data here tonight, and wait till we go look at everything else and then get to the end of the show. All right, now let's go take a look at those Excel spreadsheets. Okay, here we are into my Excel spreadsheets, and we're going to be right over here in this column here, this yellow column. It says Season 3, Week 25. Okay, that's what all these data is that we took tonight. Now, for those of you new to the show, the previous yellow stripes are the previous weeks, okay? And now, that way we can compare and kind of see the trend, and then I'll show you how we look at a lot more than this later. Then the white column to the side here shows last week, Season 2, Week 25, the same week, and shows you compare the numbers. YOY is the year-over-year percentage difference. SFH over here in the light blue is just the single family homes where I pull them out to track them. All right, so and then over here on the right, these are, what those numbers represent. So the first one you see is active, all of them. So we're going to start off with that, and the active listings is 9,828, and that is your inventory. And you can see the difference from last year. This is quite a big difference. We've increased more than what that than what I showed you that chart in the beginning from Florida Realtors just for those 4 counties they had when I encompass all these other counties. Okay, looking at last week, it is up from the last couple of weeks. All right, sold 577, okay, up definitely from the last couple weeks. Now, remember, I got slammed because I even suggested that the reason sales were down was because of the storms. We had 3 storms come through here in this area in like around a month, and so, you know, I was just saying maybe some of them people were like, you know, like, I don't know what I'm talking about. It's all about the market. The market's crashing, going down. That's why the numbers are going down, not in the storms. Well, then why are the numbers going up? Okay, I mean, I don't know, but that's why I just show you the numbers every week. You decide, okay? But I just show you the trends, okay? It's all it is. Whether you like the numbers or not, these are what come out of the back of the MLS. Active under contract, 1,123, so that's down a little bit. Pending, 302, so that's also down from last week. So our total under contract, 1,425, and so that has been slipping, okay, over these last couple weeks. Withdrawals, 68, expireds 147, new homes sold, wow, 181. Look at that from the last couple of weeks, okay? Dramatic increase. New homes active, 2,326. That's their inventory. And down here in the orange is the percentage of homes that sold that are new. So out of all the homes sold, almost a third were new homes, all right? Over here you see the single family homes, and you see the numbers right there and correspond with everything. Something to highlight here is also the new homes that sold was definitely up significantly for them also, and the percentage about the same. Now, this chart that I show here goes all the way back, as you can see, all the way back. It's a long chart because ever since I was doing this show back in 2022 when I started in May. So this Excel spreadsheet that I use in this show is downloadable from my weekly newsletter. So if you're a subscriber to my weekly newsletter, you get the link to download this whole chart. And to subscribe to the newsletter, all you have to do is just send me an email to here, this email address right here, saying you want to be put on the newsletter. You'll be put on it, and you'll get it every Tuesday the newsletter comes out. Okay, how do people pay for these homes? All right, cash dropped, okay? We were seeing the cash there about a quarter, actually a couple weeks, it was even more than that. So it dropped to about 1/5. Conventional also dropped, and FHA is the big winner here, 22.88. VA dropped a little bit, just about 14.5, and others almost 3%. Okay, when we look at the foreclosure numbers, now again, these are foreclosure numbers for active listings, not total foreclosures for Northeast Florida. These are ones that are put in the MLS for sale. So we see it rose to 146 this week. Pre-foreclosures dropped to 12. Short sales also dropped, so our total 196, a gain of 1. Next, we're going to take a look at the percentage of homes that sold under list, at list, and above list. Okay, so we've seen an increase in home sales, and we see an increase in the amount that sold under list. We see a decrease in the ones that sold at list and a decrease of those that sold above list. These numbers right below it here are the actual units. As we know, we had 577 total, and those units correspond 442 under list, 87 at list, and 48 above list. Next, I take a look at the price categories. Okay, 500,000 and above, which is a $500,000. 400,000, 300, 200s, and below 200. So as you can see, the ones that sold for $500,000 and above has dropped this week, okay? And so where did they go up? In the 400 range. So are offers being taken, or are they listing them less? We don't know. It just fluctuates that way. 300 also saw an increase, and also the 200. So everything saw an increase except for above 500, below 200. These numbers below show you your individual unit numbers of what's sold. All right, for the new construction homes, we see that 77% of them sold under list, okay? So that did go up. We have seen that before. They're in week 21, but it has gone up this week. Also at list what dropped, and the sold above list dropped quite a bit. Okay, below again here are the numbers for the units sold at those different indexes. All right, next I'm going to do something that is called, it's MLS Advantage. But before I get to that, Hey, if you like the way I put this show together, where I've got all these charts for you easy to read, I'm not talking about if you like the numbers, but if you like the way the chart is and how I put it together, give me a thumbs up. And if you want to be part of Bubble Watch Nation, hit the subscribe button, okay? Not that if you don't, I know you hate the numbers, but I'm just the messenger, all right? Hey, now MLS Advantage. What that does, I look at the 9 counties around here. You know, like we showed you, Florida Realtors just showed you those 5, but I add those other counties into it because that's really the big picture up here. And what we do is we look at the sales stats from the last week, and that gives you even a better idea of this area instead of just Jacksonville itself. Because even though a lot of people work in Jacksonville and they want to be near Jacksonville, they don't want to be in Jacksonville or Duval County. So we show the other counties, and also what I do, I break down the sales by county over this so that you can see like St. John's, Clay, Flagler, all the different counties around it, and Duval also, of course. So right now, let's go take a look at MLS Advantage. All right, here we are into MLS Advantage, and what we're going to do is we're going to look at those 9 counties. And so those 9 counties here are Baker, Bradford, Union, Clay, Nassau, Duval, St. John's, Flagler, and Putnam. Then what I do is I go over here and I hit the search button, and that gives us 788 properties. All right, now when I put it into counties, this is how the counties played out. Baker had 6, Union had a zip, Bradford had 7, Clay County 81 with an increase to 81. Nassau only increased 1 from last week, so 58. Duval County had a good increase, 294. St. John's 198. Flagler County 124, and Putnam 20 for our total of 788. All right, I'm going to quickly go over the condominium Excel sheets that I have, and it's pretty much kind of the same format. There is a few differences because with the condominiums, the law that's going to be changing where units that are 3 stories and above, the complex, not the individual, the whole condominium complex, 3 stories and above, and 25 to 30 years or older have special requirements now for how they got to fund these repairs and stuff like that, and they've got to keep a pool for that, and that is causing a lot of problems here in Florida. So that's why we're keeping track of these. All right, so our main log is basically kind of like the other one. As you can see right here, we're week 35 of the condominiums because I started it at a different time than I started the regular Bubble Watch series. So here we go, active. We got 1132 active, 42 sold in the last week, 91 are under contract, 15 pending, 106 total under contract. Withdrews for 7, expired 77, no new condos sold, but they did add another new one. Okay, so we've got 23 total now. Okay, how did people pay for those condominiums? Well, 50% was cash, 38% conventional. FHA really dropped. VA, increased a little bit, and others at 2.38. Now, right here below are the actual units. It's also 20 of them. Out of the 42 sold, 21 were cash, 16 conventional, 1 FHA, 3 VA, and 1 other. Now, just like the main, I take out the condominium numbers for this, the foreclosures. Now, these are the ones that are active listings, okay, that are in foreclosure status, and pre-foreclosure short sale. So we see we got a total of 11, so we just dropped 1. Okay, here we look at the condos that sold under list price, at list price, and above. And the at list price really jumped, okay, almost 93%, okay. Condos that sold at list really dropped from last week's, so it's just under 4. And we had the 1 condo that sold above list price. So here's the numbers below in the units, 39, 2, and 1. As we break them down by the price categories, we see 500,000 and above was just under 12%. In the 400s, just over 7. Condos in the 300s was 21.43. Condos in the 200s, almost 31, and condos below 200 was 28.57. So you see the condominiums, the bulk is 300 and below, in the 300s, so like below 400,000. And right below that is the units sold, and you see the bulk there was like in the 200s and below 200. Okay, again, nothing new in the new, so we're going to move on. Okay, this is where I look at the total stories of the condos over there on the right hand side, you see, and then this is how many units were sold at those stories. Now remember, this is the complex story, not the individual unit. So we had like 6 of them were 1 story, 18 were 2 story, 10 were 3 stories, 3, 4, and so on. So I'll just scroll it down so you can take a look. Okay, because the age of the condos does matter, we take a look at the year. Now, each cell here, block, is an individual unit, okay? So that one unit was built in 1983, and the complex was 1 story. The next one was a 1-story complex, and that unit was 2010, and then the other one was 2005, and so on. So I'll scroll these down so you can check that out. In this here, I just break down the counties of where these condos were sold. And you can see there 4 were in Clay, 25 in Duval, 8 St. John's, 1 Flagler, 4 in Nassau. Now this here is where I take a look at the condos that, you know, the original list price, the sold price, and the difference, and show you the amount of difference that it was in these condos. And with these, with the condominiums, there is a greater difference of those that sold, you know, below the list price. So right here, you see the first one was $199,000, second was $80,000, $70,000, and so on. Again, I'll scroll this so that you can check them all out. All right, now we're going to take a look at those houses of the week. That's where I look at a house that sold below list price. I look at one that sold above list price, look at some of the stats on it. Also do that with a condo, and if we've got a condo that's sold above, then we'll show that also. Sometimes we don't have weeks for any condos sold above list price, okay? And I just want to remind you here, I am a real estate agent up here in Northeast Florida, so if you're looking to buy or sell, or just want to consult with me about the market and buying and selling in the process, then just get with me at the number you see below or that email that you see below. All right, now we're going to take a look and see these houses of the week and see how they play out and go from there. All right, now we get to the houses of the week here, and we're going to start off with the house that sold below list price. Okay, this one here, built in 2007, 2,644 square feet on 1.35 acres, which is nice, and it's located in St. Johns County. And it's a good size home, 5 bedroom, 4 bath. Okay, this one here started out at $600,000, okay? And they kept it at that, you know, for almost a month, and they started lowering it. And as you can see on all these, we start off down here at the bottom is where the starting price was. The dates on the side, DOM is days on the market, and then over here on the left is what events happened during that, whether they had a price change or they had open houses, things like that. So as we see, we started off at 600, they started lowering it. Okay, after 119 days on the market, okay, when they had set the price at 525, they got an offer for 465 and took it. Okay, that one worked out to $175,000, $175 a square foot, and there were no concessions on this one. Now this one here looked like it was the like the original owners that built the house and all that, so we won't have an appreciation calculator on this. But one of the reasons I like to point this out, okay, it was 119 days on the market when they took the 465 offer. So we don't know how many offers they had before that and what, but it shows that you never know, you know, where the seller is and what they have to do to check out. I mean, original list 600. Now, if you came in that first month and came in with a 465 offer, probably not. And we don't know. This person, they could have come back, you know, and saw that it was still on the market after 119 days and say, hey, you know, we've got this offer still, 465 if you want it, and then they decided, because that's quite a difference, okay, in that. You just don't know. I'm telling you, most of them aren't this dramatic, but they're out there, and you can always take a shot at it. Okay, next we're going to look at the house that sold for above list, okay? This one was built in 1999, 1,660 square feet, also St. Johns County, small lot, okay? 3 bedroom, 2 bath home. Now this one here started off at $270,000, okay, was only on the market for 3 days when they got an offer of $305,600, okay. Now this one did have multiple offers, and they did list one of those things like highest and best by a certain date. So they purposely priced this thing below market, okay, to generate the interest to get a quick sale. This one here was a cash deal with no concessions, and the price was $184 a square foot. Okay, this one here, we see they bought it back in 2009. Okay, so that was at a time when things should have been a deal, because that's right around when when the real crash happened, okay? And so this price should have been a bottom dollar price, okay? So back in 2009 they bought it, so let's put it into appreciation calculator and see where they are now. Okay, as we see, we put it into the appreciation calculator here, and we see they bought it for $182,500, sold it for $305,600, had it for a little over 15 years, and the appreciation 3.44. Okay, so that is below average. Now, of course, the condition of this house could have been such, you know, that it didn't warrant a higher price, and maybe, you know, not as much was put into it, and they knew this, and that's why they marketed it where it was, you know, to get a quick sale. So this definitely, you know, was about right for the purchase price on this one. Okay, next we're going to look at the condo that sold for below. Okay, this one here, built in 1973, 2,252 square feet, which is a good size condo. Okay, total stories is 2. So even though the year and the stories, I mean, even though it's an older condo, it's under 3 stories, so it does not fall into that new law. 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, good size. Let's take a look over here what their monthly is. Wow, their monthly $831 for their dues. Okay, that could reach $1,000 easily. And these people did put in documents. They did put in, you know, good documents about, you know, what the costs were for the maintenance and all this and that. So they are keeping up with it. Just because it's not under the new law doesn't mean you don't have to keep up the maintenance and fund these things, you know, to pay for repairs. All right, we see this one went on the market for $399,000. Okay, after just about a week, they started lowering the price, all right? And then kept lowering it a little bit more. After 181 days on the market, they got an offer for $360,000, which they took. And that worked out to $159 a square foot, but they did also have concessions of $10,000 that went towards closing costs and prepaids. Now, when we look at what these people paid for it, they bought it for $380,000, okay, after it was on the market for 98 days, okay? So they bought it for $380,000, sold it for $360,000, and then also gave another $10,000 in concessions. So this is definitely a loser all the way around for them, and of course there won't be an appreciation calculator for this. All right, next we're going to look at the condominium that sold for above list price. Okay, built in 1987, 1,115 square foot. Okay, this is a 3-story complex. All right, 2 bedroom, 2 bath. Over here we look at the monthly. It's $525 a month. This one here went on the market for $142,000. And after 8 days on the market, they got an offer for $199,500. So I'm assuming there was multiple offers on this one. Okay, this one here ended up selling for $178 a square foot. Now, it did have concessions of $9,000, okay, on top of that. So a lot of times these prices go up to cover these concessions. So they're raising the price that they're paying for the house to cover the concessions because the seller isn't going to do it. But this is an extreme amount. This was a lot more than the $9,000 that the increase was. So it wasn't just about that. Okay, now this one here, they just bought it last year, over a year ago. They paid $124,500, and it was 2023, June of 2023. So I don't know what happened. Maybe taxes went up. It was financed, so the taxes or the monthly fees went up, and that pushed them out to where they saw that, uh-oh, we're not going to be able to make these monthly payments. I don't know if that's a situation here, but it is happening with some people with condos. All right, as we look at the appreciation calculator, they purchased it for $124,500. I subtracted the concession amount, so it comes down to a sales price of $190,500 after the concessions. That works out. They just had it like 1.25 years, 40%. I mean, this was huge. Now they did put some upgrades into it. When I look at the old photos and stuff like that, they did change countertops, the flooring, some things like that. But I don't know if they did that much. But this one here, it worked out for them. Hey, you know what? This is week 25, and it is in the can. Hey, and until Sunday night, I'm out of here.